Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker brings back Emperor Palpatine one last time to help close out the Skywalker saga. In the process, the movie reveals more about the Sith, including introducing the hidden planet Exegol and a new gadget called the Sith Wayfinder. If these new additions to the franchise have left you feeling a little lost, fear not. From the importance of the Wayfinder to Exegol and its strange Sith cultists, here's how The Rise of Skywalker adds to the fascinating mythology of the Sith.
My boy. I have been every voice you have ever heard inside your head.
The Rise of Skywalker introduces several new planets to the Star Wars galaxy, but Exegol is easily the most significant. Much like Ahch-To in The Last Jedi, this remote world is hidden to all but a select few who have a map to its location. It's a place where the Sith can hide and consolidate their power. And because the dark side is unusually strong on this world, it's a place where a man, nay, a Senate, like Palpatine, could unleash his full power as a Dark Lord of the Sith. As we learn in the film, Palpatine retreated to Exegol after his defeat at the Battle of Endor and began preparing for his final revenge. As the Empire collapsed after Return of the Jedi, Palpatine orchestrated the rise of the First Order. He apparently created Supreme Leader Snoke as a vessel through which he could plot against the New Republic and turn Ben Solo to the dark side. Luke Skywalker seems to have had some inkling of what Palpatine was up to as he searched for Exegol before he went into hiding on Ahch-To. Exegol is similar in many ways to Morabon, a world introduced in Season 6 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Yoda travels to Morabon during his quest to learn how to preserve his consciousness after death. He discovers Morabon to be the ancestral home of the Sith, a hellish world ravaged by the dark side and where the bodies of ancient Sith lords like Darth Bane have been laid to rest. So why not simply use Morabon in The Rise of Skywalker rather than create a second Sith homeworld? For one thing, the plot hinges on the idea that Luke was never able to locate the Sith homeworld, whereas Yoda had already traveled to Morabon. For another, Morabon is depicted as having been abandoned many centuries ago, with Darth Bane being the final Sith Lord entombed there. We can probably assume Bane's successors found a new and more fitting home on Exegol. It's also worth remembering that the Sith built several temples scattered across remote worlds in the galaxy. In addition to Palpatine's massive fortress on Exegol and Bane's tomb on Morabon, Star Wars Rebels introduced a temple on Malachor. Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar is also inspired by these ancient temples. No matter where they're located, the Sith rely on these cursed fortresses to channel their powers and hide from the Jedi.
The Sith killed each other, victims of their own greed.
The Rise of Skywalker reveals that Palpatine hasn't exactly been wallowing in isolation for the past 30 years. Exegol is also home to what appears to be thousands of Sith acolytes or cultists, all of whom bear witness to Palpatine's final triumph and are annihilated along with him. So who exactly are these mysterious followers? They probably aren't fellow Sith Lords. Palpatine has always followed Darth Bane's rule of two, which permits only one master and one apprentice to exist at any given time. Granted, Palpatine's apprentices have tended to bend this rule, with Count Dooku first recruiting Asajj Ventress and then Savage Opress to his cause, and Darth Vader training an entire team of dark side adepts called the Inquisitorius. Even so, we can't imagine Palpatine would permit thousands of potential rivals to live with him on Exegol. One possible explanation is that these robed figures are undead Sith from centuries past. At one point in the film, Palpatine boasts that every Sith Lord now lives within him. If he's actually speaking literally and he summoned forth the spirits of ancient Sith, perhaps their undead bodies return with them, doomed to sit in eerie silence as Palpatine harnesses their power. However, we think it's more likely these figures are simply fanatical cultists who worship at the altar of Emperor Palpatine. After all, what good is a final victory over the Resistance if there's no audience to appreciate it? Past movies have hinted that Vader and Palpatine have groups of devoted followers. In Return of the Jedi, Palpatine was accompanied by Imperial dignitaries like Saint Pistage, while Rogue One showed that Vader's castle is staffed by loyal servants who watch over their master while he soaks in a Bacta tank. These cultists could be members of the same order. Think of them like the Sith's answer to devoted Jedi Temple Guardians like Chirrut Îmwe and Baze Malbus.
The Force is with me. I'm one with the Force.
Rest in peace. The Sith Wayfinder is a gadget new to the franchise in the Rise of Skywalker, though it does closely resemble the artifacts we've seen in the past. The Wayfinder looks quite a bit like the Sith holocrons left behind by ancient dark side adepts. Holocrons, however, serve a much different purpose. They contain recordings of their respective owners and allow ancient masters to pass on knowledge and skills. Because the Sith don't generally live on after death and become Force ghosts, it's the only way for them to leave a lasting legacy. The Wayfinder serves as a much more direct purpose. It's a map. Space travel in the Star Wars universe is complicated business. Simply knowing where a particular planet is located on a star chart isn't necessarily enough to actually travel there. Ships have to follow specific hyperspace routes in order to safely travel long distances, or else risk smacking into an asteroid or piece of debris while traveling hundreds of millions of miles per hour. The Sith Wayfinder doesn't just house the coordinates for Exegol, but also the specific path to follow to arrive there. With Exegol being such an important place for Palpatine and his fellow Sith Lords, it makes sense that this map would be such a closely guarded artifact. The movie reveals that only 2 Wayfinders were ever created. One of these was hidden inside a secret chamber inside Palpatine's throne room aboard the second Death Star. The other was closely guarded by the warriors Kylo Ren is shown slaughtering at the beginning of the movie. We never learned much about that world or its inhabitants, but they must have had a vested interest in preventing anyone from finding Exegol and unleashing its horrors upon the galaxy.
Long have I waited.
For more Star Wars fun, check out our video review of the movie and our updated 2019 review of Star Wars Battlefront 2. And for all things Star Wars this holiday season, keep your targeting computer locked on IGN.